What's going on, people? It's your man, the White Bee. Once again, big shout out to my Tyson133 for coming through. I'm loosening up the coins. So, we got an update regarding Dave, the White Rhino Allen. Okay. I don't know what these men are on. I think they're bugging. But here's the bars from Massa Calvin Candy Hearns, aka Eggy.
Who's the Dave Allen opponent, Edward?
It's a fucking unbelievable fight. I can't, but Dave, he's one of the strangest men I've ever met, right? So this is the conversation. So Jamie TKV's team completely, Boxer just ran him round in circles. It was so embarrassing. And I feel really sorry for Jamie TKV because he's been robbed of an opportunity to fight Dave Allen on a headline fight. But basically, I went to Dave Allen, I went, right, do you want to fight Jamie TKV? And he's like, not really. I said, well, might get it for the British. We got the Commonwealth. He's like, all right then. And then, once Jamie TKV dropped the ball, we were like, okay. And he comes back to me, he goes, I want to fight someone really dangerous. I'm like, I said, but you know the money's the same because your money's contracted now. And yeah. But if I fight someone really dangerous, I might train harder because I'll be scared. I'm like, wait, Dave, can't you just train hard anyway? No, I need to be scared. So I sent him through a list of 4 or 5 fighters. Probably 3 of them were just knockouts.
I think he listed them last night. Tony Yoka being one of them.
Yeah, but they weren't even some of the guys. I think those fights, Tony Yoka, Nelson Hissa, the Albanian fighter, who's the other, Otto Warlin, those fights are much easier than the one he went for. Makhmudov. He was like...
Is he not the one that...
He might be, but they've gone in a situation where it's like... I said, Dave, I've given him a list of fighters. He's chose the biggest puncher and the most dangerous one of the whole list.
Okay, so to be fair, this video is supposed to be about Arslanbek, the Neanderthal Makhmudov. And I think from what I'm hearing from people close to the situation, it is going to be the Neanderthal, the Russian Neanderthal, with his ancient prehistoric DNA looking ass dude, man. I don't know where they make dudes out no more, man. Big Neanderthal wanna be ass dude, man. But listen, I want to just quickly say, Eggy almost implies that it's not Makhmudov. He lists the names: Wallin, Nissa. Who was the other one? Tony Yoka. And the interviewer then says, Makhmudov. Eggy's like, yeah, it could be possibly. So maybe it is, and Eggy's playing possum to try and get the big news, to be the first guy to break the news. I can't think. I hope it's no one worse than Makhmudov, if that makes sense. I hope it's no one better than Makhmudov. Yeah, Dave wouldn't fight Martin Bakoli, right? But that would have to be the kind of level I'd hate for it to be, kind of thing. Even Bakoli is in bad shape. We don't need to see that. Anywho, let's assume for a second it is Makhmudov, which is that's what's been on Sky Sports and whatnot. News today's come out. If you search on Google here, you can see Dave Allen versus Makhmudov. You've got boxing scene here. Dave Allen versus Arslanbek. Makhmudov eyed for October 19th in Sheffield. I don't know what Dave Allen's on. Listen, I think I'll see what the odds are. Yeah, if Dave Allen's a big underdog, I'll back him. If he's a favourite, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk, man. And I'm not sure, like Eggy said, there's easier fights there. Listen, then again though, Wallin's tricky. You've got to really put it on him with some pace. He can faff around a bit. Like you see how Chisora stuck it on Wallin. I'm not sure Dave's got the conditioning or the willpower. Because Wallin's got no balls at all. Wallin is the 2024 boxing choice power bottom of the year. There's no doubt about that. But Wallin can box, unlike Fisher. Wallin won't be caught like this. Put him up. He won't be caught like that, like Fisher is. And Dave Allen will have to negotiate it and constantly be fit. Yeah, that could be tricky. Tony Yoka, he might be finished, yeah. We saw what Tony Yoka did to Dave Allen already. Could it be a revenge tour? So to some extent, whilst I don't like the Makhmudov fight, it might be a more winnable fight. At the same time now, I've been doing some research on this Neanderthal. He's been stopped a few times recently, but it's important to note he's been stopped by not bare bums in the shower. He hasn't been getting stopped by... Listen, if Makhmudov had been knocked out by Johnny Fisher 6 months ago, I'd get it. He's been knocked out by Guino Vianello, who's supposed to be up next, isn't he? At one point, Vianello was supposed to be the next second coming in the heavyweight division. Yeah, Vianello's only lost to a Jagba on points and lost to Torres Jr. on points. These are two people who are top 10 world ranked. So, Vianello knocked Makhmudov out in round 8 and Caballero knocked him out in 4 rounds. Well, we know about them two. They're serious dudes. Everyone else, Makhmudov has plastered. And I've got some footage here because in his last fight, Makhmudov fought a month ago against someone who's undefeated. Not a big name, but undefeated nonetheless in Canada. And he plastered him in a round, and we've got the footage here. And the bad thing is, I think Dave could catch and counter Makhmudov. We're going to play the footage. I believe it shouldn't be, no one knows about this fight, so it should be alright. Although it says Riyadh season on the... Oh, it says Riyadh season on there. Maybe I won't play the footage then. It was in Canada though. Anyway, let's play a little bit of it and see what happens. If I cut this bit out, it's peak for you, man. Here we go. So yeah, look, Makhmudov is a big stiff idiot. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. That said, despite his losses, look at him, he throws his hands. He's active, he throws his hands. Really sloppy, yeah. But he does... because he has prehistoric DNA, we've talked about this on this channel before. Namely, before the Dubois fight, and we were wrong, right? But we were saying in Neanderthal times, Neanderthals were more like animals as such. A little dog can get into a fight with a big dog and it will just expire. It won't know not to fight, carry on fighting to the end. And I see that in Makhmudov. He has the prehistoric, ancient animal DNA still left in him. Because he's been knocked out twice now. But watch how this guy fights. Watch him fight. Watch. Despite being knocked out twice, watch him. Watch him. Watch. 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 You see what I mean? He'll just have a go. He's just like a wild boar, essentially. Okay? Look at this guy. He's not apex, but he's a wild predator nonetheless, man. He don't have an off button like that. Look at this guy. All loose as a goose, throwing his hands. Dave's more conventional. But this is one big stiff idiot. Ancient, we're talking. This is an ancient, prehistoric level of stiff idiot. Look at this guy, look. He's having a go, man. And he's big, probably 270 pounds. Weight isn't everything. If Dave catches him on the end of his beak, yeah. But if Dave don't catch him on the end of his... Look at this guy, look. He's got no... You'd think normally with these new age fighters, they get stopped a few times and they're on their skates. This guy's come straight out of the gate again. And if you watch all of his fights, even after being stopped by Caballero, he gets in there with what's his name. Look at this guy, look. Look, he's out. The dude's out. And he gets counted out. Look at Makhmudov, he don't even know what's going on. And even the times I've seen Makhmudov get put down by Caballero, he's dopey with it, but he don't really get what's going on. You don't see him processing, oh, I'm really hurt. Can't bother. It's one of them. He's Neanderthalian, bottom line. Yeah? He's from the Neanderthalian lineage at the end of the day. That's what it is. Is this guy stopped? He can't be stopped already. He's up on his feet. Oh, what? The referee waved it off. Are they joking? That's a corny stoppage. But either way, he knocked the guy down pretty hard in the first round. And you saw it was like... I think this is the final punch as well. I think he slips. So Makhmudov slips in, slips a jab. It might not even been a knockdown actually. Oh, he's all over him still. He kind of walks in with his feet. Scrappy. There are holes here, obviously. But in the meantime, I think it's fair to say Makhmudov is ferocious. He's not the most technical, that's for sure. Yeah, he has primitive skills. That's a fact. I'd call him a primitive... He's a primitive predator. But he's the predator nonetheless. He's not going to be in there having a look. Maybe that's what Dave wants. Maybe he wants someone running at him with his chin in the air. And it's all fun and games with someone running at you with their chin in the air. I think Dave's smart enough to be able to negotiate it though, but I'm thinking, where's the upside here? It's not like if Makhmudov was, what's it called? If he was like a big British star, a big stiff prehistoric British star, it would make sense. All right, let's have a toss up kind of thing. But this is really a fringe fight. The TKV fight won't happen. Ben Shalong's down bad. Ben Shalong's only doing in-house fights now. Hence why they're putting on TKV versus Fraser Clark for the British. For whatever that's worth. That would have been the preferable fight. But TKV, he has some boxing skill, but there's no risk there. TKV ain't going to knock you out. Is Makhmudov going to knock out Dave Allen? It'll be a cracking fight. Eddie's right. It'll be a cracking fight. Dave Allen, he has a contract now with Matchroom. I'm not sure if it has clauses. I think he has a 2 or 3 fight contract, and apparently they're all fixed fees. I have no idea if they're based on you have to win them all, but if they're not, Dave might be thinking, well, I've got a 3 fight contract, I'm getting paid 300-400 grand a pop, whatever, if I lose to Makhmudov. I'm just trying to think, I guess the problem is, what other options are there for Dave Allen right now? Them other names, Yoka could box him up again. Wallin will be a stinker, and or you might get boxed up. Wallin beat someone else, didn't he? Who did Wallin beat? Wallin in his comeback before... Let's have a quick look. Wallin in his comeback before he fought AJ. He beat someone half decent. And I'm not sure... Like I said, I'm not sure Dave Allen's going to have the pace to want to get at it and hunt Wallin around. We've seen him, even with Fisher. If you faff around with Dave and his feet are plodding, he's getting boxed up. He's losing most of the rounds. Who did he fight? He fought Gassiev. Gassiev was the win he had on split decision. That was his best win of his career, I assume. That was his claim to fame. He beat Gassiev, for example. And Gassiev's a pressure fighter-ish, right? It's like the kind of Beterbiev type pressure fighter. And Wallin beat him. So I get why Dave don't want Wallin. I don't know why they've got to put him in them type of fights anyway, to be fair. They're not really doing it for me. For me, Dave Allen's a British blockbuster. I'd rather see... I guess you can argue he'd probably lose that, but I'd rather see Fraser Clark. Or Joe Joyce! That's the one. Right there. That's the one right there for me. Because the Joe Joyce fight actually does something. Is it less winnable than Makhmudov? You'd like to think so. Makhmudov is slow and leaky. But Joe Joyce is slow and leaky. And it'd be a British blockbuster. And it would be a good money for... I want to see Joe make some money. Joe's been beat now by Chisora. He's been beat now. Who's the other guy? Hergovich. That's the perfect fight. Joyce versus Allen. That's a wicked fight. And it means more than this. Losing to Joe Joyce ain't the end of the world. Losing to Makhmudov, they're similar fighters really. Joe's better than Makhmudov. But in terms of... Joe's way better actually. He's not as... Makhmudov really is primitive. He really is. Look at this guy, man. Look at this guy. Let's investigate this guy, man. I'm trying to work out... Let's have a look here. It's funny as well because I bumped into Arslanbek Makhmudov the other day and I said, hey bro, I hate to have to ask you this, but can I get a bit of your hair? Yeah? Because I'm dying to put it into 23andMe. And I put it into 23andMe and it came back. They haven't seen this DNA. Yeah? Look at this guy, man. They haven't seen this DNA since between... We can't, the thing is, we can't even say confidently the last time we observed this DNA, to tell the truth. But the estimates are between 800,000 BC to 900,000 BC. That's the last time these man was operating on Earth. Look at this big idiot, man. He's a proper big idiot. And look at this guy, look. They don't make him like this no more, man. They don't make him like this no more. This guy's supposed to be out there tuggling. Listen, he ain't got the skills. Boxing, yeah. Particularly these days, in the last 50 years or whatever. It's more of a skill game. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that men like Makhmudov weren't designed to operate in physical combat in prehistoric times. I'm talking, listen, If I had to put Usyk in there with a bunch of bears and lions, or Makhmudov, I'd take Makhmudov. That's the truth. Usyk's good at doing this invention we've made of boxing, right, with IQ and whatnot. But if it came to having a fight with a bear, yeah, it'd be this guy. If it came to trying to catch some antelope for dinner, I'll be sending this guy out there. That's what I'll be doing, man, for sure. Do you understand? Or if it came to putting a sword in it, if I had a choice to put a sword in this guy's hand or Usyk's, I'm putting it in this guy's hand, man, right? You understand that one there? Yeah? If I had to if you had to put an axe in someone's hand, who would you be putting in? You put it in this guy here, man. That's what you'd be doing. You'd be giving him the axe, man. And that's the point I'm making. Okay? So we have to, listen, I don't think Makhmudov should be boxing anymore. For me, he should be in a history museum somewhere. Yeah, he should be. This is the third wonder of the world, man. It's not often we get to observe the Neanderthals, okay? So I'd prefer him to do that. He must be able to get some gigs. It's a bit like that Thor guy. Remember Thor? You must know Thor. Thor Bjornsson. He got all the movie gigs, didn't he? He got all the Game of Thrones and whatnot. This is what this guy should be doing, man. This guy should be in the movies, man. Yeah, the old school Roman movie. That's what he should be in. Gladiator and that. Put this big Neanderthal in there. Or better yet, Jurassic Park. Get him in there. I think he'd do great in the new Jurassic Park 3D. Get him in there. Neanderthal in the mix with the dinosaurs. That's the kind of tip he should be on. He shouldn't really be boxing. Boxing, you need a level of IQ, and he don't have it. But as far as Dave Allen's concerned, I don't see. Dave Allen's got a good chin, but this whole narrative that he needs to have someone dangerous to get up for it. The thing is, Makhmudov will run at him, and Dave is cute enough. Listen, I've turned myself onto this. It might work well for Dave, until it doesn't. That's the risk here. It's working well until it don't. Makhmudov gets a lucky shot, or Dave starts feeling some shots and thinks. But listen, Dave had a tear up with Dillian White. To be fair, that was Dillian White on the up, and Dave Allen with no training. He did have a tear up with Dillian White, and I don't think people say, you got washed. Dave lost most of the rounds, yeah, but they weren't 90-10 rounds. They were like 60-40 rounds the whole way through. Dave probably lost 9-10 rounds in that fight, but they was all close. I didn't see Dillian White just having a go on him. Can Dillian White hit as hard as Makhmudov? This Makhmudov is slow. He's very slow and very stiff. But he will throw his hands. That's what he'll do. He'll throw his hands. So yeah, I've turned myself onto this. As long as Dave don't get caught. If he gets caught, it's going to be like, well, that was stupid, wasn't it? But he shouldn't really. He should be cute enough, but he's going to have to be fit. Because Makhmudov's been stopped by Caballel in 4 rounds. You can almost discount that. That's Caballel. He's stopping everyone in the first half. The next guy, Vianello, who was top 10 at one point, took him 8 rounds. Yeah? I don't care how useless Makhmudov is. If Johnny Fisher could go 10 with Dave Allen in the first fight and win most of them rounds, Makhmudov's another 4 inches taller, bigger. And it's going to be a hard night's work. Don't forget, Dave was at his limit in that first Fisher fight. Makhmudov ain't no Fisher. Dave's going to have to be on his job. Now Dave says, I need to be motivated to get in the gym. Yeah, that's fun until you haven't done what you're supposed to do. And you've still got to fight Makhmudov. If he comes in fit, I've got Dave Allen winning this one. But if he don't, and he's puffing, Fisher can't punch. Fisher can't punch, man. Fisher can't punch at all. And he's got no... He thought he could punch. He can't punch. I think Makhmudov, punch for punch, can punch. You understand? You don't want to be knackered in there. And then the Neanderthals just walking onto you. Do you understand? But he will be walking onto you. Which will mean Dave will have to work less. Dave ain't going to have to go find him. But what would you rather have? Would you rather have someone who's slow and walking onto you and throwing their hands? Or someone you got to chase? I don't really know enough about boxing, to be fair. I'd rather someone like Wallin. He can't punch. And I can just hunt him down. I wouldn't want to be hunted. That's just me personally, though. I wouldn't want to be in there thinking, ow. Does Dave fight well off the back foot is another question we have as well. Because I watched the Caballel fight back, and for most of that fight, Makhmudov was the one pushing Caballel back, believe it or not. And that's Caballel. Does Dave know how to fight going backwards? Dave couldn't motivate himself for the Dillian White fight. He couldn't motivate himself for the Price fight, David Price. He couldn't motivate himself for the Luis Ortiz fight. That was on short notice. But the point is, I need a big fight to get motivated. Okay. We have to take a man at his word, obviously. I'm just not sure this is the one. I think the Joe Joyce fight would have been the one to say, I need a big fight to get motivated for. Because at least then that'll be big. That'll be big. Relative. There's no way Joyce and Dave Allen... I don't know why they're missing that fight for. Eddie and Frank are hanging at the back of each other. That's a wicked fight. Wicked fight. Joe's going to be right there. Dave's got a good overhand right. Joe's a sucker for an overhand. He's washed up. He's slow as molasses. But yet, if you lose to Joe Joyce, no one's going to be crying about it and saying, if you lose to Makhmudov, where do you go from there? I guess you go back to the Fisher trilogy. But honestly, if you lose to Makhmudov, where do you go? Or do you fight the winner of TKV and Fraser Clark? But that puts you almost back in the same position. Could Dave Allen still... I guess he could still do that, couldn't he? Could still fight Fraser Clark. I think Fraser Clark will beat TKV, but still... There'll always be options for Dave Allen. It's difficult, isn't it? I need to look at the... Before I get out of it, let me have a quick look at... I want to check the rankings out. The boxing world rankings. Just to see what other options there are. Again, I keep saying it, but I don't know why they haven't brought Joe Joyce in there. What's Joe Joyce doing? Joe Joyce lost in March. He's ready for a fight. Again, obviously. Maybe that was the name Eddie was alluding to. Maybe it's not Makhmudov. Even though that's what's being said now publicly. Not confirmed sources or confirmed sources. But I'd love that. That would be proper, wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you do that? Chisora's lost to them type of guys his whole career. I think that's the kind of career Dave Allen can have. It's the Chisora type career. You win some, you lose some, and it's one of them. But they're big. Chisora was rarely in filler type fights. Right, they're all kind of meaningful. Certainly they had a British buzz to them. You think about David Hay, you think about the Fury fights, you think about the Dillian White fights. There's no reason Joe Joyce and Dave Allen they could fight 2 or 3 times, based on their styles, in my opinion. If Dave Allen's fit, if he's not fit, Joe Joyce might stop him, or it will look like Ortiz kind of thing if he's not fit, because Joe Joyce is fit. But if Dave Allen's fit, they could have 2 or 3 banging fights in the UK. Joyce and Allen could. I could see Joyce winning one, Dave Allen winning the next, and a trilogy. Similar to Dillian White and Chisora. That'd be my strategy if I was Dave Allen. Try and have a good fight with Joe Joyce and run it back. Yeah? Right. Okay, who have we got on here that Dave Allen can beat? And Joe Joyce is highly ranked. Where's Joe Joyce going? Everyone's saying Joe Joyce is finished because... he's lost twice on the trot now, exactly. So that puts him, even though he's still ranked top 25, that puts him right in Dave Allen's sphere, in my opinion. Joyce can't go any higher than Dave Allen at this point. He's not going to drop back to British level as such. You take someone who it's kind of assumed is slightly above British level, which is someone like Dave Allen. Yeah, you got Yoka, Makhmudov, Huey Fury, no. That'll be a long night's work, a long stinky night's work. Yeah, that's the problem, I guess. But Makhmudov isn't a big name. There's not a load of big names jumping out at me, but Makhmudov isn't one of them. It's like a win lose type fight. Okay, you beat Makhmudov, no one will care. The hardcore fans who follow Dave will care, but in significance, beating TKV for the British title would have been the better option. Although it's not on the table, but you get the point. Yeah, there's no names, folks. There's no obvious names jumping out at me. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know why they can't do AJ and Dave Allen. Yeah. AJ, if he does come back to fight Fake Paul, I guess that's the argument. He could warm up with Fake Paul and then maybe fight a Fury. But if AJ wanted a serious... people can laugh, but AJ, don't forget, AJ fought Hellenius. Although it was late notice, but he fought Hellenius. He fought, what's the other guy's name? Franklin at the time, who it turned out he can fight, but no one knew him from Adam, right? You can't tell me if AJ can fight Jermaine Franklin and Hellenius at the O2. You can't tell me he couldn't fight Dave Allen. Fact. Dave Allen versus AJ is bigger by at least 2 times than the Franklin fight or the Hellenius fight. Bottom line, you'll never convince me otherwise. In fact, if I look down AJ's resume quickly, I'll tell you all the fights it's bigger than. So why ain't AJ hopping on that? AJ probably don't want to rebuild, which is fair. It would, because the Dave Allen fight would have to be a rebuilder, i.e. I'm actually trying to run for the titles again. I don't think he's interested, and I don't blame him for not being interested, to be fair. Let's have a quick look on this thing. Hellenius, even Wallin. AJ versus Dave Allen's bigger than AJ versus Wallin. Sorry. Okay, that was his title reign. So during his title reign, you can't really argue that. But AJ fought Takam. Dave Allen's as big as that. Eric Molina, Dominic Brazil, Charles Martin. I guess Charles Martin was a champion, but you see what I'm saying? Dave Allen would fit nicely in terms of, not in terms of necessarily what he's done in his career, but the clout of it. Dave Allen sits probably halfway up AJ's. It wouldn't be like, oh, this is the worst guy AJ, or this is the least relevant fight AJ's ever had. So yeah, anyway, let's see what happens, people. Yeah, and hopefully the bookies suck Makhmudov off, because if they got Makhmudov a big favourite, you got to go with Dave Allen. That's what you got to do. Let's take him at his word. Yeah. Oh, I need to be scared to get fit and fight. Now, actually, before I go, there is one last element we must cover here. Eggy Hearns. He kind of implies why Dave might have ended up taking this fight. Here we go.
Most dangerous one of the whole list. And he goes, if I beat him, what will happen? And I said, honestly, if you beat this guy, you will land Wilder, Parker, AJ, I don't know. You will get a massive fight, probably a 7-figure.
There you go. So, whilst initially I'm thinking I'm slagging Eggy Hearn off, Eggy Hearn is selling Dave Allen down the river. So initially when I heard this, I thought, Eggy Hearn's bent out of shape because Dave finished the Boschinator. That's what I thought, why is Eggy doing it? Why is Eggy always hating on Dave for? Putting him in an irrelevant fight, which is 50-50. An irrelevant 50-50 never makes no sense. How does it make sense? But the string that Eggy's dangled in front of Dave is, you beat this guy, I'll give you the AJ fight. Or that's the one he can control, right? He doesn't own Parker, he doesn't own Wilder. The AJ fight is one he could make happen. But it begs the question, if I was Eggy, I'd be saying, does Eggy manage Makhmudov? If that's the case, it makes sense why he's chose Makhmudov. And not, for example, Joe Joyce. You could hang Joe Joyce in a piece of string and say, listen, Dave, you beat Joe Joyce and I'll get you AJ. Why Makhmudov, though? I just can't, that doesn't flick for me. But anyway, it is what it is. Dave, if you're listening, man, make the Joe Joyce fight. Make the Joe Joyce fight, man. Yeah? Make that fight. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. Smash the like button, subscribe, and that for the bell, 100%. There's no doubt about this. Some people stop it. Johnny. Bye.